Oh man, it's October already? You know what that means. Only a couple of weeks left till Halloween. And you know what Halloween means, right? Everyone dresses up as spooky creatures. People try to scare you at every opportunity. Picking out on sugar is encouraged, and so on. However, none of those things I mentioned are my favorite part of Halloween. That honor would have to belong to Scream Fortress. Around the middle to end of October every year, the TF team at Valve pushes out an update to Team Fortress 2 dubbed Scream Fortress. This annual event enables spooky Halloween maps that you can't see in matchmaking at any other time of the year, special contracts, exclusive achievement items, spells, and all sorts of other witchcraft. Scream Fortress isn't a new concept at this stage. Team Fortress 2 was officially released in 2007, around 12 years ago. However, this fact doesn't make it any less exciting in my eyes. For most of the Halloween updates released over the years, Scream Fortress added something major and exciting, usually something never seen in the game before, up until that point. So, in honor of my favorite annual TF2 event, I'll be giving a rundown of the entire history of Scream Fortress, up until today. The first ever Halloween update to Team Fortress 2 was released on October 29th, 2009, and was titled The Terrifying Team Fortress Haunted Halloween Special. This update set many of the standards for what later Halloween updates would become, as it introduced the concept of an event map with Harvest Event. Funnily enough, this was also the update where the original Harvest was released. Alongside the new maps, this event added some hidden lore on the webpage, and 2 new cosmetics, the mildly disturbing Halloween mask and the ghastly gibbous. To get the former item, players have to collect 20 crit pumpkins, which randomly drop from slain enemies. Getting the ghastly gibbous, however, was a different story. This update's post on the website contained a hidden page, where, when found, players could enter their Steam ID and have the hat gifted to their account. This was limited to 10,319 hats, a secret reference to Halloween 2009. Once all the hats were claimed, the page was taken down. If a player missed out, though, they could alternatively dominate a player wearing a gibbous to claim their own. This trend continues to this day. The second Halloween update for the game came out on October 27, 2010. This update was titled The Second Annual Scream Fortress Haunt Dead Halloween Special, or Scream Fortress for short. Much like last year's event, this one added 2 new maps, being Mountain Lab and Man Manor, 7 new all-class and 1 new heavy cosmetic item, the Sticky Jumper and Head Taker, and new Ghost Achievements. Differently from last year, though, Halloween restricted items and noisemakers were added to the game, as well as the first ever NPC boss in TF2, the Horseless Headless Horseman. Once the Horseman was slain with a melee attack, players would earn an achievement and be granted the unusual Haunted Metal Scrap, which could be used to craft the previously mentioned Horseless Headless Horseman's Head Taker. In addition to these new items and achievements, a new gibbous was introduced. Every player that earned a ghastly gibbous prior to this update, or to the next year's update, had it upgraded to the ghastlier gibbous. Oh, and speaking of next year's update, the third annual Scream Fortress Very Scary Halloween Special was released on October 27, 2011, and added the new event map Iaduct, 2 new weapons, 8 new cosmetics, 2 new eye achievements, a costume set for each class, a new comic titled Abominomicon, and added a new boss fight with Demoman's missing eye, Monoculus. On the newly implemented Iaduct, Monoculus teleports and leaves behind a portal for a brief period of time. Upon entering the portal, players would be teleported to the underworld, where picking up the haunted Halloween gifts would result in the player earning a haunted quality item. This was of course disabled after the event concluded. The 4th annual Spectral Halloween Special was released on October 26, 2012, and added 2 new Halloween event maps, a short new comic called Doommates, 2 new achievements, 32 new cosmetics including a new Gibbous and Voodoo Cursed Souls, a new weapon, and Halloween spells. The first of the 2 new event maps was Wave 666, or Ghost Town, a custom man vs. machine mission, and the second event was Ghost Fort, the event version of Lakeside. In Wave 666, players are tasked with defeating multiple waves of zombies over the course of about an hour. In Ghost Fort, the new boss Marasmus the Magician can be fought. At random points during the match on Ghost Fort, Marasmus would spawn. He has several attack patterns, and in one of which he hides as a prop and restores health. There's a surprising amount of depth that comes from the boss fights in this game. Next up came the Scream Fortress 5th Annual Halloween Special, or Scream Fortress 2013. The update was released on October 29th of that year, and added the new event version of Hightower, Hell Tower. It also included a whopping 102 new Halloween cosmetics, 8 new bereavements, the Skeleton and Skeleton King NPCs, and also introduced the spells mechanic and spellbooks for the action slot. This was the first Scream Fortress event I personally experienced firsthand, and I was super excited about it, primarily for the spells and cosmetics. In Hell Tower, the objective is to push either Redmond or Blutarch's corpse to the top of the high tower before the other team, which then takes the whole server to hell where one final battle is had. This also marks the first time Redmond and Blutarch were given a voice in-game, as they yell orders at a player's team during the match. Next year marked the release of the 6th annual Halloween special, or Scream Fortress 2014 for short. The patch was released on October 29th, and included 50 new cosmetics, 6 achievements, Doomsday's new event variant Carnival of Carnage, and a new melee weapon for every class. Except Spy for some reason, because French people can't stab people with a hammer, but Engineer can upgrade buildings with a hammer just fine. In Carnival of Carnage, Marasmus builds a haunted carnival and needs to have the mercenaries kill each other to create an impromptu burial ground. Once the tickets have been taken to his strongman game, one of 3 minigames begins. In the minigames, players are teleported to an arena where they're limited to bumper cars and must fulfill a secondary objective to win the game. When this update came out, I remember a lot of people being disappointed by it. In retrospect, though, I think it was pretty good overall, despite the strange addition of bumper cars. Scream Fortress 2015 marked a huge change for the annual event. This year, there were no new game modes or bosses, but they instead added the new free Marasmission contracts inspired by gunmetal, and voice acted by Marasmus himself. They also added the Soul Gargoyle, a new comic, and a bunch of new community stuff. This included 2 taunts, 5 new maps, 19 new cosmetic items, and 7 new unusual effects. The new maps in particular were Gorge Event, Hellstone, Moonshine Event, Sinshine, which was implemented before the regular version's Sunshine the next year, and the new Manpower map Hellfire. Every time a player got a kill during this event, the Soul Gargoyle would have a soul added to its total, much like a strange weapon. In my opinion, every single map added in this update was very high quality, and thus, it was a bunch of great new game content. This update may not have been nearly as notable as the ones from years prior, but I believe it to be stronger in some aspects, due to the sheer number of high-quality maps to play on. A year after Scream Fortress 2015 came out, Scream Fortress 2016 came out. Surprising, I know. This event was released on October 21st, and was very similar to last year's, but has the unique distinction of being the first Scream Fortress to not feature an update page on the official blog. It's easy to speculate about what could have happened with the TF team, or why effort on Scream Fortress started to slow down, but nothing's concrete. The update itself added 3 new community maps, 21 new community cosmetics, the Taunt Unusualifier, 2 new taunts, 8 new unusual effects total, and reintroduced Marasmissions from last year. The new maps added in this update were Brimstone, Maple Ridge Event, and Pit of Death, the first player destruction map to be officially added to the game since Watergate in the Invasion update. In an interesting new twist of events, this update also tweaked the unusual unbox rate to be doubled. For the entire duration of the event, only the new effects added in the update could be unboxed from every crate, but the Taunt Unusualifiers, which had an additional chance of dropping in the crates, did not have any specific effect applied to them. It was possible to get the new Halloween effects on unusual taunts by using the Unusualifier during the event, but if one waited until afterward, you could get a Gen 1 taunt effect instead. This caused the once extremely high price of unusual taunts to drop significantly. All in all, the most interesting part about this update was probably the increase in unusual drops and the newly added unusual taunts. Personally, I assumed that Scream Fortress 2017 just wouldn't happen. The long-awaited Jungle Inferno update, which was released on October 20th, was so close to Halloween that most of us thought we'd just be missing out on a special event this year. However, the TF team proved all of us wrong, and released Scream Fortress 2017 6 days later, on October 26th. This event brought back the double unusual unbox rate and rules from last year, and changed Marasmissions into Halloween contracts, using the new contractor from Jungle Inferno. No new maps or cosmetics or anything were added into the game. The only real game content added in this update were the contracts and a slightly changed main menu. Still, I had a good time completing the contracts with my friends for hours on end. Scream Fortress is always a good time. And now, we reached the final Scream Fortress event as of this point in time. The TF team had a lot more time on their hands to prepare for the event this year, so they were able to return to 2016's level of content once more, and even surpass them. Scream Fortress 2018 was released on October 19th of that year and added 2 new taunts, 5 new community maps, 24 new cosmetics, 10 new war paints, and a whopping 17 new unusual effects. In addition, the Halloween contracts from the previous year were reactivated and added upon for the new maps. Speaking of which, the new maps added in the update were Cauldron, Cursed Cove, Gravestone, Monster Bash, and Slasher. In my opinion, the maps added in this update were probably the most fun I've ever had with a Scream Fortress update. Cursed Cove and Monster Bash are probably 2 of my favorite maps in the entire game, and Cursed Cove marked the first time an officially added community map had custom voice lines. Unfortunately, the unusual unbox rate was not doubled again this year, but the new unusual effects looked really good, and there were a lot of them. This update is definitely a big contender for my favorite Scream Fortress. Alright, that was a summary of every single Scream Fortress event that has happened to date. Team Fortress 2 is going to be 12 years old this October, and it has a lot of history behind it. I feel that Scream Fortress's impact on the game is not talked about nearly as often as it should be, but that's probably because it's a Halloween event. Oh, speaking of which, I am excited as hell for Scream Fortress 2019, assuming it happens. So excited, in fact, that I'm currently working on my own event map, and I'm planning on streaming the hell out of all the potentially new maps on the workshop in October. Be sure to follow me on Twitch to check it out and play the maps with me. Links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Invisible.